I'd like to talk about the type of practice that you use when you go out to the driving range, the putting green, or your short game area at your club. The type of practice that you use is critically important to the golf that you're going to play on the golf course. Here's where the biggest disconnect comes in. We get to the driving range, and I'll use a driving range for our example for this video because we're out here at the driving range right now. You have a bucket of golf balls next to you, you have an open field in front of you, and you're just trying to hit balls, but you have no intention to what you're trying to do with those golf balls. You might keep it to one club and one target, if you even have a target at all. This is called block practice. Block practice is when we hit the same shot over and over and over again at high repetition. Now, block practice does have a purpose, but its purpose is not to lower your scores. Let's say you're trying some new feel in your golf swing. You've got a new position, something that you've just changed, that you're trying to get used to. Well, when that occurs, block practice does become very useful because it's high repetition. You can focus internally versus externally, which is okay for block practice when we're trying to be hyper aware of something going on in our body. But then there comes a time when you start to hit a lot of good shots in a row. So what I say to my students, it's like doing a math equation. If I sit here and tell you or ask you what's 5 plus 5, the first time you're going to go ahead and do that in your head, you're going to do the equation, and you're going to say 10, hopefully. Now, every time after that, you're no longer doing that equation in your head anymore. You're just repeating the answer because you already know it. The same thing happens in your golf swing. Your body and your brain is going to organize movements in a way to where over time, when you do that repetition enough, you are going to start making solid contact with the golf ball, and you're going to get this big sense of accomplishment, like you're hitting it solid, like I got it, and I'm ready to go. But then what inevitably happens, which I hear so many times on the lesson tee, we go out to the first tee after that, and we just pump the first one out of bounds, and we can't figure out why. The reason why is because the type of practice that you were employing was not indicative of what you're going to experience in the environment out on the golf course. So we have to have a shift. There needs to be a shift from block practice to what we call deliberate or random practice at some point. Now, I'm going to warn you, when you go to random practice, your performance will decrease for a short period of time. You're not going to hit as many solid because you're changing something every time. But what you're increasing, which is the most important piece, is your brain's ability to learn the new movement pattern that you're trying to employ. You're challenging your brain with different shots, different clubs, different targets. And although your performance might decrease here just slightly and you don't get that false sense of accomplishment like you're hitting everything great, you've increased your learning and you've increased which is the most important, your transference of skill from the driving range to the golf course. That is the most important thing to why your practice matters. So when you have block practice, you're going to hit better shots here. It will not transfer out to the golf course. The moment you're able to employ more random practice, you're going to get a better transference of skill. Now let's jump in and talk about what I mean by random practice. Just like the title says, you could randomize anything. I have a 5-iron in my hand right now. So random practice might be my first one. I'm going to go ahead and set up to my target. I'm going to rehearse the feel that I'm trying to accomplish in my swing, and I'm going to hit the shot. Now that ball started a little right of my target and drew back to it, which is my normal shot pattern, so I'm happy with that. But I want to challenge myself a little more because there are going to be shots on the golf course that don't call for a draw. So now I'm going to go ahead and change my setup slightly so that I can start this ball a little bit left of my target, still have my same feel in the swing, and then try and hit a fade with that same feel. So I was able to accomplish that. And then I might take that even further and change my target. When I change my target, I have to change my entire orientation to what I'm doing with the golf ball. So I'll get behind it again like you would on the golf course. I'll go ahead and get my next target, which is a pole out there more to the right. I'm gonna go ahead and set up, and I'm gonna go back to trying to feel what it is in my swing that I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm gonna try and hit my stock draw shot from here. I was able to do that, so now I might move on to a fade again. I might hit one low. I might hit one high by changing my ball position. But the idea here is I'm changing something each and every time so that my brain cannot just organize those movements and give me a false sense of accomplishment like adding 5 plus 5 20 times in a row. You're no longer doing an equation in your head, you're just repeating the answer, and you're going to be able to spit out that answer faster, but that doesn't mean you learned anything. And it's the same thing in golf. It's the same thing in your golf swing. So if you truly want to lower your scores and hit better shots on the golf course, you have to simulate golf course environment in your practice sessions. And the gist of all of that is to randomize your practice, add a little more pressure to your practice so when you get on the golf course, you're prepared to hit different shots off of different lies with different curves to different pins. And once you do that, you're gonna see your scores come down. So just remember, if you wanna shoot lower scores, stop using block practice, start using random practice.